So in today's video, we're going to focus on doing back bends, so things like camel pose or wheel pose. That's actually going to be our peak pose for the class. And I'm going to do it with my yoga wheel. And you do not need a yoga wheel for this video. You can supplement a block or just do without a block and find a variation. I'll work through it throughout the video to give you variations of what to do if you don't have a yoga wheel. So don't feel left out if you don't have one. So without further ado, let's kick it into the intro and then to the video. What's up, guys? It's Alyssa here. Down to our comfortable seated position. I'm just going to take a few rounds of breath, excuse me, as I mess with my yoga wheel. It's going to be very distracting for me for a period of time. So we're getting to draw up tall, relaxing the hands down onto the lap. Maybe the hands flip up to receive good energy. Maybe they flip down to ground. And as you take a big inhale in, feeling your belly expanding. And as you exhale out, big sigh. Feel yourself sink. Feel the muscles of the face relaxing. As you continue to send the breath in and out through the nose. And as you really begin to let everything go. To clear the mind, but knowing that throughout the practice, thoughts love to flow in and out. We're always constantly thinking. And when those thoughts come, just let them float by like little clouds. As you keep that inner focus on the breath, giving yourself a little smile because you made it, you're here, you're alive, you showed up for the practice, you showed up for yourself. Beginning to take 2 more rounds of breath here. See if you can really elongate those inhales, make them deep, fill the lungs to the very tippy top. And exhale, slowly squeeze out, wringing out all of the air. As you create that space within the body, creating this space in the lungs. You are here. You've arrived into this moment. You can keep the eyes closed or you can flutter them open. And for those of us who have a wheel, you're going to grab your wheel at this point in time. Or you're going to grab your block or a thick book. And we're going to start getting into this. So we're going to take that yoga wheel, setting it over to the side as we turn our backs towards it. And then just lengthening the legs out in front of us. Maybe reach back, grab your wheel, and bring it right to your low back. So same with the block. We're going to bring it to its tallest setting. And you're going to bring it right to the low back. So when we do this with the block, it's all figuring out which way it needs to go. And you may have to adjust as you come down. So no matter if we have the block, if we have the wheel, we're going to begin to kind of drape ourselves over it, really pressing the heart forward. So again, with the block, as you come down, it's just figuring out. So we really want the block to be placed kind of in between the shoulder blades coming into our supported fish pose, is what we would call it. And you can allow your head to come back if you're on that block, if you're on the wheel. And beginning to find that place where you can just focus in on the breath. Arms can rest down at your side. If you really want an intense stretch here, making the arms at goalpost. And keeping the feet active, whether they're flexed or pointed. As we open the heart. Keep breathing here. I always find that in my yoga practice, since I started doing it, back bends have always been the hardest poses for me to do. Still to this day are still hard for me to do. And as we take our next exhale, we're going to bring that chin in towards our chest. If you can just lift up, come back up to seated, so we're coming up into that staff pose. With our legs elongated out in front of us, you can rest the hands down to your side. We're just going to take 2 breaths here, just drawing up tall. And exhale, you can soften here. So again, we're coming back onto the wheel, and now we're going to focus on bringing the wheel into our low back. So same with your block. And again, you can adjust. The block doesn't have to be at its tallest setting. You can bring it down to the second setting. And you're going to bring it down with the block down to your low back and allow yourself to drape over it. But wanting to find kind of that natural arch of the spine to help open the back up. So if we're using the block, that's how you would do it. Again, adjust to your height. If we're using the wheel, we can bend the knees so we can roll up onto the low back and then elongate the legs and drape over. And just allow yourself to soften here. Again, arms can be down at your side. If you really want that intense stretch, you bring them to goalpost. Just continuing to find your breath. Two more breaths here, whether we're on the block or the wheel. And then wherever we're at, whether we're on the block or wheel, you're going to slowly roll or lift. Take it slow, bend the knees into your chest and allow yourself to round over the legs. Soften the shoulders. And then as you exhale, rolling back up your spine. We're going to come into that comfortable seated position. Take an inhale, extend the arms up above you. And as you exhale, releasing the right arm down, left hand extends over. Keep pressing that left hip bone into the mat. Extending out, really finding length in the left side body. As you inhale, come back through to center. And exhale, reaching it over to the left. As we inhale, draw it up through to center. Exhale, bring the knees in towards your chest. Shift them out to the side. We're going to come into our tabletop position. And as we come up to our hands and knees, hands are underneath shoulders, knees in line with the hips. Take a moment and rock your hips from left to right, coming off of that railroad track. And then beginning to bring yourself in through to stillness. Inhale, Send the gaze forward, release the belly down towards the mat. Draw the heads of the shoulders back as you come into cow. Exhale as you round, pressing up into cat. Tucking the chin and the tailbone. Inhale. Belly comes down. Send the gaze forward. Crown of the head is reaching as you exhale. Roll it up. And continue to find your cat-cow motion with your own breath. Really taking this moment to connect in with your body. How it's feeling in this moment. Feeling into your breath. And as we take one more inhale, sending that heart forward on our exhale, tucking the toes, sending the hips up, reaching the tailbone up towards the sky, extending through the arms. We come up into our downward facing dog. Taking an inhale, just lifting up on the toes. On our exhale, really bend your knees, sink your hips back, press the belly back towards the thighs, stretching into your shoulders. Keep breathing here, keep pressing into the mat, draw that lower belly in. And on your next exhale, you're going to roll it forward, coming up into your high plank. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, releasing the knees down to the mat, you're going to lower all the way down onto your belly. So sending the hands back towards the shoulders. Draw the elbows in. As you inhale, pressing the pelvic bone into the mat, you're going to lift your head and chest coming up into your low cobra. And then as you exhale, just slide your forearms out in front of you so you can lift up. So really pressing up here, sending the heart through the arms. Gaze goes forward as we come into our Sphinx pose. We're coming into an upper body back bend here. Pressing tops of the feet into the mat. Soften the gaze, close the eyes or keep them open. And then on your next exhale, we're going to press into our hands. Extend your arms, lift up a little bit higher. And as you exhale, lower down. Keep lowering down, forehead back down to the mat, hands underneath the shoulders. Inhale, we're going to press up into tabletop. Exhale, sink it back to a child's pose. Take 2 breaths here. Next inhale, roll it back up into your tabletop. Exhale, tucking the toes, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And maybe just take a moment and walk your dog as you paddle the feet, working into one leg, into the other. And then begin to send yourself in through to stillness. Take the gaze to the top of the mat and find that slow walk or step up to the top of your mat into your forward fold. As you fold over, take an inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, soften down. And with this practice of using our yoga wheel or a block, if the hamstrings are really tight or having a hard time here, you can always bring that block to you. And allow the forehead to rest down. Allow the hands to rest down. Same goes for your block. Bring it forward and allow yourself to soften. So we're just going to take a couple breaths here, no matter where we're at. Opening those hamstrings. And as you take your next exhale, really bend your knees here. Roll up one vertebra at a time. Coming all the way up to standing. Spread the fingers wide. Crown of the head reaches towards the sky. The feet are grounding down. As we root to rise here in our Tadasana or mountain pose. Take an inhale, arms extend all the way up above us. And as you exhale, reaching it over to the right. So find your length. Press that left foot into the mat. Inhale through to center. Exhale, reaching it over to the left. Press that right foot down. Inhale back through to center. Exhale, soft bend into the knees. Swan dive yourself forward. Come back down into your forward fold as you bow. Inhale, lifting up halfway. Exhale, soften down. Plant your hands. You're going to step it back into your plank. Take a big inhale here. And then as you exhale, bend your knees. Release them down to the mat. And then you can just begin to walk your hands back, lifting up to stand on your knees. And then from here, again, the yoga wheel or a block can come into play. So I'll bring them over. We're going to begin to work into our camel pose. So what that needs to be about, hip width apart. And we're just going to take an inhale here, arms extending. Find your length. On your exhale, just allow your hands to rest down to your low back. And you're going to squeeze the glutes in together, press your hips forward, and then just take the gaze up. So just a gentle little back bend here for a moment. Draw the heads of the shoulders back. And then as you inhale, very gently draw yourself up, become a tall, extend your arms. And then as you exhale, you're just going to send your hands down to the mat. Find your tabletop, and then just rock your hips from right to left. Come through to stillness. Take that inhale. Draw up tall, stand up on the knees. This time on our exhale, squeeze the glutes together, press the hips forward, come down the goalpost, open the heart, find a slight back bend. And then inhale. Draw yourself up tall, extending the arms. Exhale, bringing the hands to heart center, tuck the chin here. And then we're going to add to that. So inhale, arms extending. And then on our exhale, hands are going to come to our low back. You're going to press yourself forward. And then from here, if you have a wheel, you can bring the hands to the wheel. So bringing the wheel in between the feet. And maybe just pressing the arms or the hands into the wheel, really pressing the heart forward. Maybe you come here. Or maybe you bring that block in between the feet. Same thing. So even if your fingertips are just touching, finding that resistance as you straighten the arms, pressing the heart forward. Maybe sending the gaze up towards the ceiling. You can keep the gaze forward. Maybe your head is about to freak out and it doesn't like that. Maybe the neck is uncomfortable. And then wherever we're at, whether we're on the wheel or on the block, slowly bring yourself up. We're going to remove whatever's in between the feet. Come to sit down on the heels. Take an inhale, arms extending, exhale, finding a twist to the left. As you inhale, come through to center. Then exhale, twist it over to the right. Inhale, I promise, last round of this. Come up onto the knees. As you exhale again, you have the option here. Keep your prop, whether you're using the wheel or you're using a block in between the feet. Keep it there if you would like to do that. Or you come into our actual camel pose. So we'll tuck the toes. And again, inhale, arms extend. exhale, just send your hands to your low back to really help press your hips forward, squeeze the glutes, and then you're going to take the hands on top of one heel, take it to the other, and then keep pressing. So pressing those heads of the shoulders back. Squeeze the glutes, protecting the low back, sending the gaze up towards the ceiling. You can come here or keeping that prop, the wheel or the block. You do not have to come into this variation. It's all about listening to your body. And then on your next exhale, slowly, slowly, no matter where we're at, we're going to come up. Release the toes down. And then sink yourself into a child's pose. Take 2 rounds of breath here. Connecting back to your breath if you lost it. Back bends can be extremely intense on the body, but they're actually really rejuvenating for the body. And on your next exhale, you're going to begin to roll up into your tabletop. As you come up, really round your spine, pressing away from the mat, coming into that cat posture. As you inhale, you're going to release down into cow. And then as you exhale, tuck your toes, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take an inhale as you lift up on the toes. And then as you exhale, really bend your knees, sink the hips back, press the belly back towards the thighs. As you exhale, release yourself back down into your tabletop. And then from here, we're going to begin to work into some wrist warming up for our back bend. So we're going to take our left hand and begin to spin it out to the left. So fingertips are reaching over to the left. And then you're just going to begin to shift your weight over into your left wrist. And then shift it over to the right. Shift over to the left. Just finding this little rock motion. And then beginning to bring yourself in through to stillness here. Find that neutral spine, draw the belly up. If you can, take your left fingertips, reach them back towards your knee. And then from here, this could be enough stretch. You don't need to move from this position. Or you begin to shift the weight back towards your fingertips, keeping the palms. We're not lifting the hand off of the mat. We're keeping the palm down. Beginning to stretch here. Keep breathing. And then as you exhale, begin to peel the palm of the hand off of the mat. We're going to lift up onto the fingers. And then keep peeling. Lift it so the only thing touching is your fingertips. And then just flick your palm forward. Shake it out. Circle the wrist a couple times. And then you're going to plant that left palm. We're going to take it over to the right. So right fingertips are flipping out over to the right. And then you're just finding that little shift from side to side. And you begin to bring yourself through to stillness. And if you can, flipping right fingertips back towards the knees. Again, stay here with that wrist underneath the shoulder, or you begin to shift back. And on your next exhale, see if you can begin to at least peel just part of the palm off of the mat. And then continue that peel. So come up to the fingertips, flick your fingertips forward, and then shake it, roll the wrist. As you begin to plant that right palm down, take an inhale, tuck your toes, exhale, send it back up into your downward facing dog. On your next inhale, right leg is going to extend back behind us, coming up into our three-legged dog. As you exhale, we're going to bring our right knee behind our right wrist. Extend your right foot over to the left. And slide that left leg along as you begin to come down into your pigeon pose. So from here, we're going to be here for quite a few breaths, really opening the hips. So really finding where you can square the hips forward, square the shoulders forward. Take an inhale, press into your fingertips, lift the heart. And then as you exhale, listening to your body soften down. Again, a great moment to bring the wheel or the block into play if we need that support, if we need to bring the earth closer to us. And from here, just continuing to focus in on your breath. Sending that breath over into our right hip. As you again take this moment to thank yourself for showing up to the practice. Taking this moment to really understand what our body is telling us. And to remember that we do as we can, finding that point, that threshold point for our bodies. As we take 2 more rounds of breath. As you take your next exhale, wherever we're at, we're slowly walking our hands back towards us to lift the heart forward. And then from here, tucking the left toes. Begin to lift your left knee, press into your right leg, shift yourself back into your downward facing dog. And then take a moment, pedal your feet here. As you begin to bring yourself in through to stillness, we're taking it to the other side. As you inhale, left leg extends back, 3-legged dog. And then as you exhale, that left knee comes forward behind our left wrist, extending left foot over to the right. As you exhale, slide that right leg down the mat, send your heart forward, square the hips. And then whenever you're ready on that exhale, you soften down. Really allowing yourself this breath. Allow yourself to soften. As we begin to take 2 more rounds of breath here. On the next exhale, slowly walk the hands back towards you as you lift up. And then again, tucking the toes of that right foot. Lift your right knee off of the mat. Press into your left leg to lift the hips and slowly shift yourself back into a downward facing dog. We're going to take 2 rounds of breath here. So if you want to pedal the feet out, pedal the feet out. Stay in stillness. And then as you exhale, send your gaze to the top of the mat. We're going to walk it forward towards the hands. Coming into our forward fold. As you inhale, find that halfway lift. As you exhale, soften yourself down. Take one more inhale here. And as you exhale, begin to bend your knees. We're going to sink it all the way down to seated. And then from here, we're just coming into our comfortable seated position. Take an inhale as the arms extend up above you. Exhale, bend your elbows. Press the heart forward, coming into goal pose. Inhale, arms extending. Exhale, bend the elbows. One more inhale, we're going to extend the arms. Exhale, just relax them down to your side, bringing the feet forward, and we're going to roll it all the way down to our back. So as we come down, sliding the feet in towards the sit bones, resting the hands down towards the hips. We take an inhale here as we exhale, pressing into the heels, lifting our hips. We're going to come up into our bridge pose. And then on your next exhale, roll it down one vertebra at a time. Take an inhale when that low back comes to the mat. Exhale, once again, press into the heels, lift the hips, come up into bridge, pressing into those triceps. Exhale. Roll it all the way down. Take an inhale once the back comes down. And last one, exhale, press into the feet, lift the hips, squeeze the knees in towards each other. And then as you exhale, roll it all the way down. Now from here, we're going to begin to work into our wheel pose. And knowing that if you are not even remotely ready for this pose, to not do it. So you can continue to do the bridge poses, just lifting and lowering. You can do what we did in the beginning with the wheel, just finding yourself draped over the wheel, or you can drape yourself over your block. But if you would like to do the wheel pose, then we're going to work into that. So if we have hair, if we have a ponytail, I'm going to make sure that's out of our way. I always like to gather my hair up underneath me, kind of twirl it together so it's out of the way because I tend to place my hands there. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, feet are in line or as close to the sit bones as comfortable. We bring the hands down at least above or by the shoulders. And just take a breath here, noticing where the hands are. Maybe taking this moment to check in to see if you're ready, if the body's ready. And then as you take your next exhale, you're going to press into your feet, press into your hands, lift yourself up, bring the top of your head down to the mat. Set yourself up here, spread the fingers wide. On your next exhale, lift it all the way up. So really lifting the hips here. Take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, slowly lower back down to the top of your head. Roll it, knees into the chest. Holy moly. For those of you who did that with me, I'm not kidding when I say back bends have been one of the hardest poses for me to do in my yoga practice. So I feel you if you freaked out in that moment. So we're going to do that one more time. So release the feet down. Once again, bringing the hands slightly by the shoulders or above them. So the elbows are pointed up towards the ceiling. On your next exhale, press into your hands into your feet. Lift your hips. Bring yourself onto the top of your head. And then on your next exhale, press yourself all the way up. Pressing those hips up, squeezing the glutes. And then as you exhale, soften down to the top of the head. Bring yourself down onto your back. Bring those knees into your chest. Give yourself a big hug. Give yourself some love here. And then on your next exhale, open the arms to goalpost. Release the knees over to the left. And then maybe taking the gaze over the right shoulder if it's comfortable on the neck. And as you exhale, everything comes through to center. Inhale, give yourself a big hug. And then exhale, arms open to goalpost. Release the knees over to the right, maybe taking the gaze over the left shoulder. On your next exhale, everything comes through to center. Inhale, give yourself one last big hug here. Big inhale in, biggest you've taken all practice. And as you exhale, big sigh. Extend your legs down the mat. Extending the arms down towards your hips. Walk the shoulders underneath the back. And take a moment here. Kind of shake it out. Get any last jitters out. As you begin to settle in, feeling the earth rising up to meet you as it supports you. Maybe the heart feels a little more open. And as we settle in here in our Shavasana, stay as long as you need, especially after doing an intense practice like doing back bends. Allow your body to rejuvenate, to reset. Just allowing yourself to let everything go. And as always, I thank you for coming to practice with me. I thank you for showing up for yourself. As the light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.